Welcome back to Evansville. You're looking at the hottest owner-driver tandem of the sport. Bernie Little with 8 world championships. Jim Kropfeld with 2 in 84 and 86. And they've won the last 2 hydroplane races stretching over the 86-87 season. Let's go to the Pringles camp and have some fun. Is there a new father here? Is there a new dad around here somewhere? Look at this #1 dad. Look at this. Congratulations, Dad. How's Mom and how's the baby?
Everybody's fine. Got in last night, and I left them at the hospital. They were great.
You got all the way to Cincinnati, found out your wife's going to have the baby, and you had to fly back to Seattle or St. Louis?
Well, I had a feeling when I got on the airplane that I was in big trouble, so I called from St. Louis, and she was already at the hospital, so I turned right around.
Well, congratulations. I noticed you got a little message on the back of the boat.
Yeah, the guys put that on there for me.
Well, congratulations, Dad. I hope you have a good day.
Thank you.
We understand the owner of this boat, Bill Worster, has been named the honorary grandfather of Colin. The 4 boats coming up in Heat 2A. The Budweiser, obvious favorite here as it is running so well. Mr. Pringle's the other turbine, and here they come now as the 4 boats come down the main straightaway for the start of 2A. On the inside of Mr. Pringle's, and then Todd Yarling in the Risley's audiovisual, and out on the outside is the Budweiser. And here comes Jim Kropfeld. My goodness, flying into that first turn. He in first place is the Budweiser. On the inside, though, is the Mr. Pringle's, and Todd Yarling and the Risley's audio-video back in 3rd place behind the rooster tail of the Mr. Pringle's. This boat slightly larger than the Budweiser of 1986. Remember the wild ride it used to give Jim Kropfeld going into the turns? Not the case with this boat as the Miss Budweiser comes down the main straightaway, completing lap #1. His speed for the first lap, over 128 miles per hour, nowhere near that record he set in Heat 1A of 138. Here's the Pringles. Let's get a report from Danny High, see what he thinks of the ride so far on this boat. Danny, what do you think?
Well, we're doing what we want to do. We're just making some changes, trying to get the boat to run better. It looks a little bit better this heat. We're just keeping our fingers crossed.
Of course, that's the premiere, the debut of this boat. It was the old Executone. You might remember then when it was powered by a Merlin piston engine, rather. But now, of course, it has a marine turbine engine in there, something different from the Lycoming engines you see in the Budweiser, the Miller, the Cellular One. Jim Kropfeld out of Cincinnati, better than 25 years of boat racing behind him, is now crew chief for his son in the limited racing that he does. But Kropfeld now in control here in Heat 2A in the Miss Budweiser. 2nd place, the Mr. Pringles, and Scott Pierce out of Seattle, hoping to pick up 300 points, get into that final heat, and run for the money. Todd Yarling, what can you say about that crew? Doing very well as Bernie Little, the all-time winningest owner, looks on and watches his brand new Miss Budweiser come down the main straightaway. Kropfeld being a little easy on the equipment in this heat, but you watch. He can hit up to 185, 190 in the straightaways if he needs to here on this 2-mile course. And you could easily make a case for this boat as being the fastest piston-powered boat in unlimited hydroplane racing right now. It has a turbocharged Allison, Todd Yarling for the Risley's audio-video, and they have performed extremely well here in 87. The Budweiser and Jim Kropfeld coming around the chute now. One of only 3 men ever to be inducted into the APBA Hall of Fame, Hall of Champions 5 different times. He is one of the best, let's face it. And now he comes down the front straightaway, much lower profile than the Budweiser we've seen in the past. Another lap to go as he gives away. He's staying low in his speeds, around 108, 106. Lap #3, he was at 116, so considerably slower than he was in Heat 1A. Saving it for the final, you betcha, when he'll go against the Cellular One, the Miller American, probably Todd Yarling, we will see, and many other folks, as the Budweiser going in on a rather calm day here on the Ohio. This first turn where the Budweiser is coming out of, and the other boat there, the Pringles going into, can get a little choppy. Here's the Risley. Back to the Budweiser, into the turn. Saving his equipment now is Kropfeld out of Cincinnati, who will soon be driving in Madison, Indiana, which is only an hour away from his hometown. Checkered flag waiting for Kropfeld as he picks up another 400 points. A perfect day so far. 800 for the day. The Budweiser winner of Heat 2A. And 2nd place, Scott Pierce, Mr. Pringles. Points for the day. As I said, a perfect one for the Budweiser, Mr. Pringles. Risley's audio-video right on the bubble to make it into the final, and Pepsi America's Choice picking up 4th place with Mitch Evans. To the pits, and was he singing or wasn't he?
Let's find out right now, Don. Let me ask you a question. Is the second verse or a different song this time?
No, I was just... that's old stuff anymore. We'll come up with something new.
Yeah, speaking of something new, what is this scarf? I see you've been wearing that this year. Where'd you get this?
Oh, I don't know. That's a little secret.
Come on, you got to be kidding me. Is there a hidden meeting here?
Sure. Yes, there is.
Will we find out before the season's over?
I doubt it.
We'll find out before the season's over, Don. Bet me we will.
Okay. Grab your partner and let's go downtown. Square dancing, a part of the Freedom Festival here in Evansville, Indiana. We'll be back after this. Welcome back into the pits. Heat 2B is coming up. Let's talk to one of the drivers now. Todd Yarling. Todd, come on in here. This man, I don't know if you're necessarily on the bubble, but your strategy has been working pretty well. You wanted to finish your first heat, get some points. You got more than maybe you thought. What do you think now? Where do you stand?
Well, I guess it's going to go all the way down to the last heat. You know, we don't have near the turbine equipment to run against the Budweiser and those guys, so we just...
But to get into the final, well, that's your key, right?
Yeah, the whole key is getting the final, because that's where we got to do some racing. We've been kind of unlucky in the draws today, but we took the Risley boat and we put her out in front there a few times and made them notice that we were there, so we were pushing them a little bit.
Okay, well, we'll see you in the final.
We hope so.
It is time to eat. This used to be the Atlas. You remember that, of course, when Chip Hanover drove it. He won his first Gold Cup in this boat back in 1982. Second place, the Budweiser, already with 400 points. Look out! The Holson Miss Madison has hooked and thrown Ron Snyder into the water. He is moving. You can see him waving his arms. The boat has gone dead. Of course, the race has been stopped. In the most publicized accident of 1986, Ron Snyder suddenly found himself in the Ohio River. An accident that left him injured. Not seriously, but enough to make him reassess what he was doing in the cockpit. And now, seat belts keep him inside that boat. Ronnie, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but the biggest difference between Evansville last year and this year is that strap system down there.
You got it. It really worked.
Are you comfortable with it now?
Oh, very much, very much.
Okay. You feeling okay after that first heat?
I'm okay. I'm just waiting, hoping we can get into the finals so we can really let this thing hang out.
Okay, all right. Good luck out there. Steve Reynolds already in the cockpit of the Cellular One, heading out for a date with Ron Snyder and Chip Hanover in the Miller American. Beautiful new boat with that huge air intake above that Lycoming turbine engine. Ron Snyder heading out in the U6, the Holson Miss Madison. Let's get a word from Jim Lucero. Jim, is your day progressing like you'd hoped?
Yeah, we're fairly pleased so far. We haven't had any major problems, and what we're trying to do, since we have so little time on the boat, is get Steve a fair amount of actual racing experience. We didn't get much down in Miami. We're trying to learn a little bit each heat and be better prepared for the final.
Jim Lucero's driver will get a good workout here in 2B as the Cellular One goes against Miller American, Holson Miss Madison, and Thor Racing. As we go now, the boat's setting up, the top four around. Here's the Miller American swinging outside, either that or the Cellular One cutting in, but Steve Reynolds got a bit of the Miller American rooster tail. He is way back at the start. Look who's right on the button again. Ron Snyder, Chip Hanover at the start of Heat 2B. There goes Reynolds in the Cellular One. Thor Racing is back. Now the race into the first turn. Snyder in great position in lane number one. The Miller American, though, with better boat speed in lane two and taking a slight lead as they go down the back straightaway. Chip Hanover in the brand new Miller American in first place. Holson Miss Madison second. Cellular One and Steve Reynolds starting to close in third. He's a rooster tail, at least a rooster tail back. Look at Snyder moving up on the inside in the Holson Miss Madison, trying to hold on to lane number one, going against the quicker turbine. As he goes around the turn, look out, he couldn't hold on to his lane and gets washed down by the Miller rooster tail. He falls back, but somehow he keeps the engine going. Falling into third place, Snyder in the Holson Miss Madison, but he's still going. Second place now the Cellular One. In first place, that boat, Chip Hanover and the Miller American after lap number one. Miller in first, a speed of 117 miles per hour. An average speed. Steve Woomer on the left, the owner of the Cellular One, as they go down the main straightaway. He brought on Jim Lucero to head up his team to build him a boat to make him more competitive. And now they're having a chance to see what they can do against a legitimate champion in Chip Hanauer and the Miller American. The Cellular One is closing the gap. Reynolds holding on to the outside. In third place, Snyder out of the state of Ohio. Hardy's now an associate sponsor for the Wholesome Miss Madison. Now look at the Cellular One challenging on the outside. Miller in lane number 1. Third place still Snyder as he goes into the turn. Now it's a matchup between the two brand new turbines. Cellular One on the outside. Reynolds, Hanauer, and the Miller American on the inside, hitting speeds of better than 180, 185. Look how light the Cellular One is getting. They've still got to trim this boat. Remember, it's right out of the box. They have not had a chance to trim it like they want to. They like the power, but it's still a little too light, and you saw why right there. Miller with a half a boat length lead. Hanauer trying to push Reynolds to the outside. Look how close they are side by side. Cellular One now with a slight lead, completing lap number 2. Reynolds speed up to 124 miles per hour after going 117 in lap number 1. Lucero and Walters, the brain trust of the Cellular One team, watching on as their driver, Steve Reynolds, trying to become one of the major threats now in unlimited hydroplane racing into the first turn here on lap number 3. He has second place. And check that, first place, second place the Miller, third place to Ron Snyder and the Wholesome Miss Madison. And now the Cellular One beginning to stretch it out, better than a rooster tail lead over the Miller. Steve Reynolds, he knows he doesn't have the experience to match a Chip Hanauer or Jim Crompfeld at competing at those ultra-high speeds. As a result, Jim Lucero has sent him to school. He has studied all winter. He has gone to the Jim Russell Auto Racing School down in Laguna Seca, much like Chip Hanauer, who went to the Bob Bondurant School down in the Bay Area as well. But these drivers are trying to become better by taking lessons in the off-season in auto racing. Ron Snyder, the senior member of this driver's fraternity for the Unlimited Hydroplane Racing Circuit in the Wholesome Miss Madison in third place. Again, the slight dogleg. You see the boat jump like that to the left. That's because Steve says this boat is so responsive, you barely tug at that steering wheel and it moves that quickly. It is so responsive, he simply has to get used to it. Miller American now in second place. Steve Reynolds in first place with the Cellular One. Again into the second turn now. A beautiful shot from our camera up on the shore, showing you that huge scoop that not only brings in air, but separates water from the air to come in for that Lycoming 7 engine. The checkered flag waiting for Steve Reynolds in his first heat victory of 1987. Cellular One, first place on a come-up from behind victory over the Miller American, second to Chip Hanauer, 300 points. Steve Woomer getting his first heat victory of the year as an owner and with his new sponsor, Cellular One. The numbers, 700 points for the day now for both the Cellular One and the Miller American. Wholesome Miss Madison and Snyder coming in third place, followed by Thor Racing. Jerry Hopp with 469 for the day.
Steve Reynolds, I don't know what happened at the start of that heat just before you started, but you got your licks in and went on to win.
Well, it kind of looks like we're going to have to play this game pretty tough. I mean, the Miller American and the Cellular One just about bumped there. I don't know whether he had room to get in there or not. If the referees did make a call, then he obviously had room to get in. Yeah, questionable judgment. That's okay. I'm here to play the game the same way.
When did you decide to really go after him?
About 2 minutes before the start.
Okay, good angle. Thank you, Steve. Don?
And here's a different camera angle of Ron Snyder on lane number 1, getting washed down as he, that appears, couldn't hold on to his lane. But one of the best competitors in the sport.